to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book 13 Years Lost, no other than Miss Christine Sadry. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Christine, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thank you, Daniel, for having me on Book 101 Review. I'm very happy to be here.
You are most welcome.
I'm joining you from the beautiful Florida, and I'm a former United Nations staff member with over 30 years of service, and now I'm a published author of my memoir, 13 Years Lost.
Indeed.
I w-
Congratulations,
Thank you
Miss
so much.
Christine. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So, you titled your memoir 13 Years Lost. Can you take
Yes.
us back to the first day? What do you remember most about leaving Poland alone at just 9 years old?
Well, it was a very difficult time. There was so much joy and there was so much sadness because on that first day that I was leaving my family, my sisters, my
Yes.
homeland, everything I had known. And I was going on this journey where I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the country. I was only 9. And so it was a mixed feeling of emotions. One was of joy and exhilaration, and one was of deep sadness and heartfelt.
Well, welcome to America, as they said, Miss Christine. That was what, 40 years ago?
Oh, more than that, more than that.
More than that. You came
Yes,
to America alone just for 9 years old without
yes.
speaking a word of English. What gave you the courage to leave your family and everything familiar behind?
Well, I was born behind the Iron Curtain. This was during communism in a small village in Poland. And we lived on a farm and with my grandmother, my parents, my sisters. And after the sudden death of my mother, when everyone came to the funeral, the family took all my sisters and my father left. So basically, I was just there with my grandmother, and she would talk to me about America, where it was anything was possible. It was this land of freedom. And I knew that I was behind the Iron Curtain and I was alone. And so it looked like an opportunity, especially for an 8-year-old child to leave this communist, this you know, thinking about what is the Iron Curtain, to leave this Iron Curtain.
And congratulations, Miss Christine, to living that iron curtain. After arriving in the US, you live for 13 years in an adoptive home marked by silence and fear. How do you find the resilience to survive that moment and eventually reclaim your voice?
I think it was just in the quiet. I had a normal life in Poland. There was love, there was family, sisters. So I had that background. And when I arrived in this country, I was alone. There was no one waiting for me at the airport. So I I knew that what is normal, what is what life should be like, even at that age. And even though there was so much abuse, mental and physical, I knew that I had to go on and that I would eventually grow up and that somehow things would be better. But I also had to learn the language. And I realized that the language, education was so very important. And to keep your focus on what, on being straight, like you could say, straight and narrow road. And Even though my adopted parents, they refused to, they didn't want to pay for my education. At 15, I went to work. I was handing out American Express cards. I was doing a little modeling, but I paid for my education even at that age.
Miss Christine, you were silent for 13 years. What broke the silence and how did you begin to rebuild your identity?
Well, I always believed in myself. I always believed in that I could work, that I was able to focus on education and a job. So once I learned with working, you have your own financial independence. And even though I had no contact with my family for the next 13 years, I never heard from them. I never saw them again. I did, in my mind, remember their address. So I figured at some point, if I never, am able to if they never find me, at least at one point I would be able to find them. So that faith kept me going.
Indeed, that faith. Have faith, people. Have faith. Your 30-year career at the United Nations included incredible moments, being held at the gunpoint, driving a tanker, and even being blessed by the Pope.
Yes.
Which of those moments changed you the most and why?
Being blessed by the Pope was, to this day, it was the greatest moment. It felt like God saw me, and it felt like God knew my suffering. So it it just opened my life more to faith and to the belief, and that here this happened at the United Nations General Assembly, where I had unbelievable opportunity to be there, and yet when there were 2,000 people sitting, everyone, somehow my my body just lifted up and I was walking towards the podium. And I remember thinking to myself, God, please let me sit down because they could fire me. I was just a new staff member back then. And I'm having a conversation with God, and I just kept walking until I got to the rope where the Pope was on the podium. And the security arrived and said for me to sit down, and I couldn't even speak. And then someone from the entourage from the Pope came and grabbed my other hand and said, stay here. And when they both let go, my arms went just by themselves stretched out to the Pope. And at that moment, he finished his speech. He stretched out his arms. They removed the barrier, and I walked up, and he blessed me, and I kissed the papal ring. So it was such a miraculous moment that I will never forget, and always lifts me at my darkest moments.
Indeed, blessed by the Pope is something else. And you've had some extraordinary life experiences, meeting the Pope, being held by the gunpowder, learning to drive tanker. How these moments shape the way to see life, courage, purpose today.
I think that, when you go out there and you do things, you find out that life is there for you to explore. It's of course you need to be safe, and you need to think of what you're doing, not to take you can take calculated risks. And it's sort of that you are in charge of your journey. Your imagination, your thoughts, uh, positive thoughts can take you to places. So you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have a strong belief in that, in your ability and in who you are. And this is what I try to do uh, in my book 13 Years Lost, to let people know who are really in their darkest moments, to know that they have the ability to overcome anything, and to make a wonderful life for themselves.
Yes, indeed. People have faith in God and read the Bible if you have want more faith to Him. And Miss Christine, you talk about or you talk a lot about resilience. Was there a specific moment when you realized you had the strength to not just survive, but truly to take back control of your life?
I think it started with getting financial independence. You know, once I started working, even at the age of 15, I realized that I could put myself through high school. You know, a lot of people, they sit home, they don't do anything. I got a job. I think so that was the beginning of realizing that I can make my life. And especially being, I really was so hungry to learn. And I realized how important education is. So once, you get the education, you learn as much as possible, and you become the best version of yourself, no matter what the circumstances. Once you have that, and you're financially, even at that age, you become financially somewhat independent. My school had a program where I went to school half day and I worked the other half day. So later, this is what I did. That's how I was able to put myself through high school, a Catholic high school. I actually went to West Catholic girls' high school. And because my parents weren't going to pay for that. And I realized that I could do it. And even though others were focusing on college and other ideas, I knew that I had to take care of myself. I knew I had to make difficult decisions. And this was a way to, to my independence, to my resilience, to my freedom.
Indeed, freedom, indeed. Your story is not just about overcoming hardship. It is all about discovering unexpected joy. Can you share how you found love during your journey and what that taught you about healing and hope?
Well, I actually was in Africa working in Mozambique, and that where I met my husband. I was in the general service section and also working with as an electro observer at times. There was this one party there, and I sort of invited myself. My daughter was visiting me, and this one lady, she was a civilian police officer from, I believe, Ireland. She had malaria, and they were going to celebrate her birthday. So I went there, and the deputy executive director, assistant secretary general, the deputy head of the mission was there. And I went just to say, everyone was saying, hello, sir, good evening, sir, to be polite. He is the big chief. And so I went up and I said, good evening, sir, looking very nice, of course. And he looked at my shoes, or he just looked over and he said, you have ugly shoes. So I was taken aback a little bit and I said, you have bad taste. And he said, no, 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 your shoes are ugly. And I'm like, no, they're fine Italian leather shoes. So I thought, I said, well, nice meeting you, sir. And I thought it's best that I move away from the situation. And as I moved away, I sat down a little poof. About 10 minutes later, this the deputy head of the mission comes over and very politely, diplomatically asks me if he could sit down next to me. And I said, of course, sir. And it started out as a conversation. He was engaging, he was intelligent, he was polite, he was charming, funny. And we ended up just talking the rest of the evening. And later we had made plans to see each other. He invited me to a reception, to some, he was having with an ambassador. And we ended up being 30 years together.
Congratulations, Miss Christine. You found the true love.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Many people associate trauma with shape and silence. What advice would you give to someone who feels trapped by their past and unsure how to move forward?
I would say, first to believe in yourself, to many of us, all of us will go through something. And it's not the hand you're dealt, it's how you go forward. That's what is most important. You have to be kind to yourself. First, you have to let go. Like when I left my adopted parents, I knew that I could not carry the anguish, the horrors with me, the hate or anything. It's so important. The first thing I did was let it go. In order to move forward, you have to let it go. You have to just let that was part of your life. Of course, the sadness will still stay with you. So you have to dig deep and you have to have faith in yourself and allow, give yourself permission to be happy, to expect and want and look forward to good things in life. But the most important thing I think is you have to let go of the pain. You cannot carry it with you because if you carry that, it will be part of your anything you decide in your life will be part of it. You have to start afresh, even though it's there, you went through it, you have survived, you just let it, you know, put it in the back of your mind and move forward.
Yes, let it go, people, and live at the moment. Working in conflict and post conflict zones must have shown you both the worst and best of humanity. How did those experiences impact your personal philosophy on resilience and forgiveness?
Well, I think us living in the US are very blessed and very fortunate. And when you are out in the world, especially the areas that I was in, they were all going through a civil war. And so, but these people, they had very little, but they continued to move on. They lived, they adapted. They looked forward to peace, to back to their own, to trying to live their best life possible. And you see compassion, you see, and they're kind. I remember going to one of these in Angola to a polling station, and we were so welcomed by the elders. They were, there was never any fear. They were just very kind people. They even offered, please have, they would share food with you. So you learn it's a very humbling experience to see these people that are suffering, but yet they are kind, they're loving, and they're good people just trying to live their best. So I think it teaches you compassion. It teaches you to try to understand what others are going through and just opens your mind to the world.
Yes, indeed. To the world. And if someone reads 13 years lost, what do you hope they walk away with? And what lasting message you want them to carry into their own life?
I really think that first it's a journey. There so many things happen to me in my life, and I think what I would want for them to walk away is that anything is possible. You are a valuable person. Allow yourself to move on, to find good people, surround yourself with good people, to know that we all go through hardships and to know that we can overcome them. I hope this book will, when my readers see it, they will realize that I was alone in a foreign country. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know a soul. With everything against me, and my adopted parents were not there to help me. I didn't even learn the language the first year I was there. The teacher never taught me anything. That no matter how difficult your life is or it starts, you can always change it. You can always take a different path. Don't succumb to the sadness. Don't fall into the depression that you will never make it. I always believe the glass, no matter what, is always half full.
Very well said, Miss Christine. Very well said. For listeners who may feel trapped by their circumstances or unsure if they can create a better future, what message of hope would you want to leave them with?
That you are already a special person, that you have all the things, all the attributes within you. Find them. Just find a quiet place, dig deep inside, and know. And also, my belief, in God as well. I mean, I'm forever grateful and thankful for all the moments in my life. Have faith in yourself. Don't ever give up. You can always go another path. Find good people in your life, and you can do it. If I can do it, the other person can do it.
Yes, indeed, you can do it too, people. And looking back at your 9 year old self boarding the plane alone, what would you say to her today, knowing everything you've lived, survived, and achieved?
Oh my goodness, that's a very difficult question. Wow. If I had known all the sadness, all the loneliness, all the pain, I, I'm not sure if I would go on that plane, you know. Um, but knowing that I have made it, I would say, just keep praying, keep hoping, and never ever give up hope. There's always, in the end, you can find and make a remarkable life for yourself.
Indeed. Miss Christine, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and of course, my book 101 review in fifth season, comedy 101 second season, food 101 in its fifth season too. Geography 101 and Love Letters are in third season, and my baby podcast is Mental Health 101. And my movie 101 review and music 101 is in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 is in first season. Please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Christine, as our last question to wrap up our discussion for today, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, my short term and long term goals are pretty much the same: to get my book out there, to do podcasts, events, book clubs, and try to share my life and my journey with others, so hopefully they will find the strength and the vision to make their life better and to never ever give up.
Indeed, people never give up. Try and try until you succeed, as Miss Christine Sadry did. And again, congratulations
Thank
for
you so much.
being successful, Miss Christine, and you are an inspiration to us. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your 13 years loss?
Yes, I would like to say to everyone, please get my book. I think you will love it. It's a wonderful story. It will motivate you, and you will not be able to put it down.
Indeed, people, let's support Miss Christine Sadry because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Christine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.